It's finally time for me to introduce to you the course project. The course project is a single C program that we will be developing for the rest of this training course. We'll start simple and we'll make our program more and more sophisticated as the course goes on, as we learn more and more complex things that we can do with the C programming language. At the moment, we really don't know very much. We know how to do variables, we know how to do if statements, a couple of other bits and pieces, but that's really all there is to it. So at the beginning, our course project is going to be very simple. But don't worry, it will get sufficiently taxing and complex and sophisticated that it will actually become a program to be proud of by the end of this course. Here's what the project is going to be. We're going to create a program a record shop might use to track its inventory of CDs. In other words, it's going to be a database program. We're going to create a program that people will type the details of the CDs in the shop into, and it will store those details in memory. Eventually it will store them on disk, and it will be able to print those details out whenever we need to. It will be able to search the list for a given artist or title. It's that sort of thing. It's a database. It's going to be a very simple database, but it will be a database nevertheless. In this program, we're going to need to store the following pieces of information for each CD. Title, artist, the number of tracks, whether it's an album or a single, and the price. Okay, now let's say a couple of words about each of those. Title and artist, they're straightforward, they're going to be strings. How long they should be, well, that's up to you. How long do you think a CD's title or artist could possibly be? Number of tracks, okay, well that's probably just going to be an integer, or perhaps a short, depending on how many tracks you think you can fit onto one CD. Now, the next one is a little bit tricky. In fact, it's the only tricky one. Album or single. We do want to store that information. What are we going to store it in? Are we going to store it in a string? Perhaps we could say we could have the word album in the string or the word single in the string. Now, I think that's wasteful. We don't need an entire string just to store one bit of information. When I say bit, I'm using the technical word bit. It is simply a bit of information. It's either an album or a single. It's a Boolean piece of information. It's a bit. It's a 1 or a 0. It's a yes or a no. It's an on or an off. It's an album or a single. So I want to create a Boolean variable for this. Now, if you recall, Boolean variables are integers. They're just integers that can take the value 1 or 0. So that's what I want you to use. I want you to use an integer to store whether it's an album or a single. Treat it like this. You can say if it's an album, it's going to be a 1, and if it's a single, it's going to be a 0. Your trick is to come up with a way of reading that information in from the keyboard. How do we get the user to tell us whether it's a album or a single in a user-friendly way without saying, please type in a 1 if it's an album or a 0 if it's a single? I don't want you to do that. That is ugly. It's very unfriendly to the user. Finally, we need to print out the price. Read in the price and print out the price. These are the fields that we're going to track for each given CD. Now, we're going to start with one CD. Our entire database program is only going to be able to handle one CD in the beginning. Later, we'll expand our program such that it can handle any number of CDs. We might start in the beginning with a limited number of CDs, and then we might extend it to an unlimited number of CDs. And these are the pieces of information we need to track about each CD. But in the beginning, it's only going to be one CD. So you can declare a variable for each of these fields, read that information into the field, and then print the information back out. That's all I want the program to do at this point. Declare the fields, read information in, print information out, and close. That's it. That's all. This project must be commented. You must give a decent commenting to this project. Otherwise, when the program gets long and complicated, you're going to forget where you are or forget what you've done. You're not going to remember how certain things work, and you'll need to remind yourself. That's what comments are for. You'll notice that all my sample solutions are all going to be commented for this course project, and I suggest that yours are too. please get into the habit of it. I know it's time consuming and I know it's a headache, but if you're not in the habit of it, you will never be thought of as a solid professional quality programmer. Okay. See if you can go away and do that. I'm not going to give you much of a guide as to how to do it. If you can't figure it out, or if you can figure it out and you want to see how I've done it, then in the next module I'll show you my solution to that.